always forget, but I just want to say thanks to people for watching this, and thanks for the likes and stuff. So I can now get on with my life and talk about what's on my mind. So I've been doing a little side project. I've been helping a friend out with just a project that he's doing, and it's like it's not something that I'm an expert in or anything like that. So I've been using ChatGPT to like help me out, and it's kind of funny because ChatGPT and like artificial intelligence in general is like sold to us as if it's this is going to be the game changer and loads of jobs are going to be obsolete because of artificial intelligence and all this, and so I'm actually I don't know if fan is the right word, but I like this whole ChatGPT thing, and it's useful, but it's nowhere near like the stage where it's going to be able to replace people who are actually doing stuff. And what's more, I don't really see how it ever can be, because I mean, at the end of the day, who's consuming like the work that people do? I'd say that most of alright, so you see these ads, so this advert for like the Microsoft version of like whatever it's called, Copilot or something like that. And some guy, and he's in an office and he's like clicks Copilot and he says, he's looking at some data or something, and he says to Copilot, make me a document about this, and like Copilot goes off and creates this great big document, PowerPoint and Word document and spreadsheet and all stuff like this. And it's like, I'm not saying that these things can't do that, because I know they can. They absolutely can. But the thing is, why are you doing this work anyway? Because normally, when you've got to do a report on something, you've got to actually give some kind of insight on what on what the data is. It's very rare that no one's using you the way you want to use ChatGPT, or very rarely. I've never had a boss say to me, like, go and collect this data and just draw me a graph of it, because I can't be bothered drawing the graph. It's not about that. Normally you're getting paid to add some value to this process, and the way you add some value to this process is by taking the data. First, the reason you put it in a graph is so that you can actually see it, so that you get some insight. It's not just because you want to see it in different colours. That's not why you're doing this. And so, I think artificial intelligence will make obsolete the jobs that people can just outsource to artificial intelligence. But those type of things, I can't imagine that there are that many jobs like that anyway, even now. So, why would someone pay someone to go and use artificial intelligence to give them something when they can just do that themselves? And so the point that I was getting at with like the example of programming, so like these things, they are pretty good for like, set me up like a basic framework to do, whatever. You can describe it something that you want. Say like you want a web page, and I want it to look more or less like that. Just give me the bare bones, and so it can do that. But like, it, when a human designer has come up with some criteria for how he wants it to look, you can't just give that. You know, ChatGPT can, you know, look at images now, and it's pretty cool for, like, if you just say, you know, here's you can just take a screen grab of a website and tell it to, like, you know, scrape the text off it, and it does it really well. But you know, when you say, oh, you know, make me a website that looks like this, it's, you know, right now it just can't. And I don't really think as like a tool for a programmer, I'm not really sure how it's ever going to really get there. Because there's just so many things that, but that's what the programmer's got to do in the end. So when I started off my programming career, I was a C++ programmer. Well, not immediately, but I very quickly, after a few months, got into programming C++. And I used to love that. And it's really, you know, you've got to manage the memory, and like you've basically got to know what you're doing to be able to program in C++. Only because it crashes spectacularly if you don't. So, you know, you don't even get away with, you know, if you can actually get to the stage in C++ where you can write something and it has a memory leak, but like you don't realise it until hundreds of hours later, you know, you actually kind of already know what you're doing, because most of C++ is just like, I can't get it to compile. And then once you get it to compile, it just blows up in your face. So, but you know, now most modern programming languages aren't like that. It is easier to actually do stuff like the barrier to entry is like much lower, which is a good thing. So, you know, in general we can be much more productive. But like trying to using web frameworks and like tweaking CSS and all stuff like this, it's not, you know, it's not easy. It's easy, but it's getting it to be exactly the way you want it isn't simple. You know, it requires a lot of iteration, and also it requires, like, you need to know why you're doing it, because otherwise you just go, that's close enough, don't care. So when I get to a point on this project where I get like a bit stuck, you hit a brick wall with like the AI stuff really quickly, where it's just like, nah, I don't know what I'm doing, or you'll say no, what, like it'll give you an answer that'll just be like wrong, and then it'll go, oh yeah, of course, sorry, what I meant was, I'll give you something else that's just like wrong. Or like once you get it to a point where it just doesn't work, and there's just nothing that you can do to get it to give you a better answer. I mean, there must be, but then you get into the realm of diminishing returns, where it's just easier to just try and, you know, you have to just go away and like, okay, I need to understand what's going on, why doesn't it work, and then you need to just figure it out yourself. And it just made me think that, you know, maybe this whole artificial intelligence thing is good, because maybe we shouldn't be doing, there shouldn't be these jobs where that can just, you know, aren't productive at all, and they're just like, you know, done by people who are just pushing, you know, the one step. They are just like the mechanical Turk type of thing. Well, then those jobs, yeah, that's great. That I think that they go away, because they're just rubbish jobs anyway. You know, is anyone going to say that, you know, now that technology's got, I mean, if there was an automated way to just to have a robot going around picking up litter. Would anyone really object to that? No. Okay, so in theory, it is taking jobs away from people going around picking up litter and dog shit. But is that a job that we need to aspire to? You know, is that a job that we still need to have? No, I don't. So it's kind of, it's strange. It really hit me, like how the hype doesn't really correspond to, you know, to what's actually being delivered. But maybe if you are just aspiring to just do some kind of shitty job, then it is a problem, and like you should be scared. But you know, I think so. Like, you know, people say, and you know, I've said it myself. You know, I don't live to work; I work to live. And it's like, yeah, you know, that's fair enough. But you need to, if you don't have, you know, if you're not providing that bit of, I mean, the bit of value that will never be automated away is the human insight, or just, you know, the fact that you actually care to try and get it done, or the fact that like you see it and you look at it and you say, well, it's nearly right, but what's it missing? What could I do to just make it that little bit better? And that's the kind of thing where, you know, if we're just, you know, I don't think it's a good job if like you're working on a production line and just like doing some, you know, mechanical turf job, you know, that anyone could do, that really, if it could be automated away, then it'd just be better. You know, because like these people who are just, I mean, my dad worked on an assembly line, and it's not fun, and like he still, you know, suffers health-wise, and you know, he will for the rest of his life, because it's like, it's grueling work. So, but I think that sort of like, I mean, it's not grueling, but I think it's brain numbing that like there's lots of jobs in like the information sector that are just nonsense jobs. So I mean, should we be worried that these things get, you know, made obsolete? I don't think we should. You know, there's not, it's not just like this whole thing, you know, the learn to code thing, when you know, jobs were getting automated and like people say, oh, just learn to code, you know, and then you can have a job. I think that the whole, like, the uniqueness that you bring to the workplace is more to do with the fact that you are human. Like, it's not about how fast can I do something, how fast can I type, how fast can I stack shelves, you know, where you actually, it's you make the difference. You shouldn't be competing against artificial intelligence, because on certain things you're just never going to be able to win. You know, why do we have autopilots on planes that just basically fly the whole thing? You know, why do we do that? Well, because they can do that better than a human. But if something goes wrong, you actually want someone in the cockpit whose life is invested in the fact that it's going to land properly. You know, that's the big deal. You know, if he doesn't get that plane on the ground, then he dies. So he cares about that. You know, it's like, it's not, you know, you can have all the money in the world, but, you know, he really wants to land the plane. And I think that's where, you know, it's the whole skin in the game thing, isn't it? I think that's where artificial intelligence, it doesn't have any skin in the game. And so it probably will make us question, you know, what kind of game are we actually playing as well? You know, why are we doing this job? So like we were saying, on the advert you've got to go and, oh, I need this report to give to my boss. But it's like, well, what's he going to do with that? Is he going to say to some artificial intelligence, you know, read this report and tell me the important bits. Because then you've got something that, you know, if you've got it at both, you know, if A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then A is equal to C. So what does that tell you? So if this boss isn't doing anything more than asking an artificial intelligence to compile data and via some other person, why doesn't he just say, you know, give me some conclusions about this? And why does he want those conclusions anyway? Probably because he has to report it to some other human. But like the whole strategy is getting managed by people. So, you know, given the fact that we're all sitting there using computers and importing data into computers so that it can be shared and stuff, you know, if the human element of that isn't needed, if it's just busy work, then why are we bothering anyway? You know, it's like that's one of the things that I sort of I've always found a bit hard to get my head around. It's like, why do these jobs exist anyway? What are we doing them for? You know, who's consuming what's being produced? Because that's what jobs do, right? You know, you're producing things that get consumed, whether it's like making widgets or ice cream or documents or whatever. You know, it's stuff being produced by humans that go to other humans. But you know, is that what's in question? Like the whole paradigm of, you know, work itself. You know, so maybe this comes on to like a universal basic income. I mean, I know Elon Musk's a big fan of this, and it's, you know, but you know, you work to live, live to work. But surely, you know, why do you do things anyway? You know, don't we have this kind of impetus to want to create? I mean, that's why I like programming, you know, because it's the creation bit. And to be honest, most of it's like the peak enjoyment isn't when it's finished and you put the bow on it. That's kind of like you fed up by then. But like there's a bit, you know, so at the beginning, well, I'll get the X's and Y's right, but you know, at the beginning when like you start off and it's slow and like you don't really know, but then once you get momentum and get the takeoff bit, that's like the peak enjoyment. That's when like you're in the zone and you're just creating, and you know, you're banging out the software and like you're seeing stuff taking form, and you know, you get your first test that gets all the way through and you're like, oh yeah, I'm getting it, it's great. You know, that's the peak enjoyment, and that's why I enjoy working. Now it doesn't mean that I enjoy every single part of working, but it does mean that, you know, at every point in my life I'm going to be doing something that someone will call work, whether I get paid for it or not. But you know, there are things that I like doing that I'm going to keep on doing. I mean, obviously there's like now I used to be like really into the guitar and I used to play all the time, and now I hardly ever play. And it's mostly to do because I've got like too many other things on. But most of the other things that I've got on, I mean, I've got like my work during the day, but all the other things are kind of like kid stuff, which, you know, I'll be able to play the guitar whenever I want, but I'm not going to have my kids at home for the whole of my life. And so that's why I've consciously prioritised that. But there's always this like, you know, there's a creative side, and I don't think it's you know, it's not just me. I mean, all of us, we've got a creative side. I mean, if you just look at kids playing when they're little, all kids are creating some, you know, stories, and like you know, even like when a kid's just sitting there with his mobile, the whole reason that they're like going through it is because they're trying to like be part of something, and like there's this creative urge in them that's getting captured. And I think that's something that, you know, we don't. I keep saying we, and what I mean by we, I think is like, it's probably just like me. Or like, I like to think that there's a group of like-minded people that, you know, actually care about society and stuff like that, but society in a sort of loose association type thing. You know, I think I share values with lots of people, but I don't believe that those values should be forced on anyone else. And I think that the best society will be like the completely voluntary society where we all try and, not in the collective sense of, all right, what's our mission, let's all do it, but a sort of collective responsibility of, like, how are we going to get this thing to work? I think that there's not enough attention paid to the fact that people, are creative, and we want to create, and we get it like siphoned off us, and like that's why, I think that's the whole, like, the sports thing. There's just been a big, the Champions League final and stuff, and me living in Spain and living in Madrid, you could really feel the energy of, like, it was a really big thing going on, and like, you could feel it in the street. But that's people. That's the energy of like wanting to be part of something. Let's go and create something together, and obviously they can't, or they feel like they can't. So like they put all this energy into supporting a team. But people do wanna do something, and that's why like they celebrate when they win, and or like there's this like whole collective sadness if like your team didn't win. But it's like this kind of, there's an urge that it's the whole fact that people care about sports is pointing to the thing that's like, it's obviously nobody cares about who can kick a ball better. If it wasn't, it's not actually about, wow, look at the skill of that guy. I mean, there's some of that, but most of it's like, look, it's a whole narrative of, a group of people coming together to achieve a goal, and you're going somewhere and it's not scripted, but there's like rules that everyone abides by, and this interaction with the rules and the constraints of the game gets to a result, and like this result like feels uplifting. But if you think about the actual points of it, it's all absurd, and the only thing that gives it meaning is people. And that's the thing, it's like this quest for meaning, not necessarily even creativity, it's the meaning, isn't it? That's where I think, and that's why creativity gives you meaning, but there's other things that give meaning, and I really don't think that work is ever going to give people meaning. Like work in the sense of, I'm going to do this to like be able to eat, but work where you want to achieve something, then that does. So unless like universal income is going to, if people treat it in the way that, say, hundreds of years ago, an artist that gets sponsored by some rich guy, if people treat the universal income like that, then that'd be great. But if it's just vouchers for buying beer and, watching Netflix, then, I don't think we're going anywhere. I think suicide rates will just go up, and, there'll be a lot of, what's the point to all this? Anyway. So thanks for watching. If anyone's made it to the end, thank you very much. And consider giving it a like if you like it. Consider leaving a comment. It's like just whatever you want. Well, let me know if you want me to go into something, want me to not talk about something. Not that I won't talk about it, but it's kind of nice to know. And yeah, so there's my lunch. Now I'm going to eat it. Have a nice day.